The Link's Awakening remake has a surprising amount of game-changing refinements, and even though we've already gone over 12 of them in a previous video, we're now allowed to talk about areas and elements way deeper into the game. So here's 8 more big changes. And don't worry, we're not scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one either. These are some pretty big changes that really set the remake apart from the original game. So let's get to them. Number 1. The Ocarina lets you choose where you want to warp. Do you remember how warping used to work in the original Link's Awakening? You first had to navigate to one of several portals, and then keep dropping in and out of them until you got to the one that you wanted. It wasn't ideal. Now there was one more method to get around, and that was Mambo's Song. But even that would only ever warp you to the same point on the map, being Mambo's Pond. And as it turns out, Mambo's Song has gotten a massive upgrade in the remake. Because, like with the new portals, you're now presented with a map after playing the song, and it allows you to choose exactly which warp point you want to go to instead of just Mambo's Pond. Although that is still an option of course too. And on top of it all, the remake even introduces several brand new warp points. For example, there's one right next to the beach, one near Dompe's shack, and one right outside the Seashell mansion. In short, getting around the island has never been easier. Number 2. You can buy back your shovel. The trading sequence is such an iconic part of Link's Awakening, and it all culminates in one of the game's most powerful items, the Boomerang. Except on the Game Boy, you would have to sacrifice your shovel in order to get it, as there was otherwise no spare room in your inventory. Now at first, this also appears to be the case in the Switch remake. Except, once you traded your shovel for the Boomerang, you're now given the opportunity to buy it back for 300 rupees. And this comes in particularly useful when looking for seashells, as quite a few of them require you to dig in specific spots around the island. Finally, the shovel and Boomerang can live together in harmony, and this is one change that we totally dig. Number 3. The River Rapids game is bigger than ever. While this is mostly a one-to-one remake, it seems Nintendo really wanted to give the minigames a little bit more value. Now we've already covered how both the crane game and fishing games have been expanded, but River Rapids benefits the most from the jump to Nintendo Switch. In the original game, it was more about memorization, as there was no telling where each path on the screen would lead. But now that everything's all out in the open with a seamless world, you can quite easily see where each path will go, which definitely changes how the entire thing feels. And it seems Nintendo realized this as they've really beefed it up. For one, like the other 2 minigames, there are now 2 heart pieces and 2 seashells up for grabs. But on top of this, there's an entire new alternate mode as well. So you now have a choice. Do you want to jump around for rupees like before? Or do you want to try and take on a time trial and get to the end as quickly as possible? In any case, don't be intimidated too much by the 100 rupee entry fee, as River Rapids is quite easily the quickest way to beef up your rupee count on the island. Number 4. The anglerfish has moves. Link's Awakening isn't exactly a difficult game, but if there's any boss that we feel just a little bit sorry for, it's the anglerfish. Back on the Game Boy, he pretty much just swam up and down, doing absolutely nothing, with his weak point being constantly exposed. He was pretty much dead the moment you walked in. Now don't get us wrong, he's still a pretty big pushover in the remake too, but at least he makes you work for the kill this time. Sure, his attacks may be super slow and non-threatening, but at least he's making an effort. And that on its own is a massive step up. You tried, anglerfish. You tried. Number 5. The Horsehead Puzzle finally makes sense. So we're still not quite sure how these horse heads work in the original Link's Awakening. Sometimes throwing them will make them land right side up, and other times it doesn't do anything at all. Luckily, it seems the developers were a little concerned by this too, as they've completely revamped all those puzzles on Nintendo Switch. And they did so by leaning even deeper into the chess aspect of those pieces, of which those horse heads are apparently modeled after. Yeah, I don't think I ever realized that as a kid, I just thought they were decapitated horses or something. Anyways, any room featuring these 2 chess pieces now also features 2 holes in the floor. But how do you get the pieces inside the holes? If you just try and chuck them, they'll bounce all over the place. So what's going on here? Well, these chess pieces now literally behave like chess pieces. In that, just like the knight that they're modeled after, they move in an L-shaped pattern. First horizontally 2 spaces, and then forward 1. So if you want to get them into the holes, you're going to have to throw them from the right spot. It's a super elegant tweak to what once was a perplexing puzzle. Number 6. The Goma mini-boss in the original Link's Awakening was a little bit temperamental. You're supposed to shoot its eye whenever it exposes itself, but most of the time it will just violently charge at you. Now in the remake, it'll still charge at you, but like with the anglerfish, they've adjusted its moves. and it's for this reason that they're so much more fun to fight this time around. Plus, if they work like they did in the original game, then any chamber dungeons featuring them would drag on for far too long. Number 7. The Armos Knight's armor has a new feature. Before you can make your way to the 6th dungeon, you first have to get the face key by defeating the Armos Knights, and on the Game Boy they could go down in one of two ways. The intended method was seemingly to shoot at them with arrows like in A Link to the Past, but if you hit them in a very specific spot, then the spin attack also had a chance of dealing damage. However, in the remake, the intended way doesn't even work, as any arrows bounce right off their armor, so the only way to take them down is to break their shield with your sword. And it's actually way easier this time, as the knights go down in mere seconds. Number 8. There's a Seashell Finder. So there are 24 brand new seashells in the Link's Awakening remake, bringing the total count up to 50. It's still nowhere close to as bad as tracking down all 900 Korok seeds, but some of these little devils are still pretty tricky to find. But thankfully the task will get a little easier this time once you've found 30 seashells, as you'll be awarded a seashell tracker. If you have this on, then anytime you're near a seashell, it'll start to beep, kind of like the shrine tracker in Breath of the Wild. And you're probably going to need this, as some of those seashells are pretty obscure. Or you can just use our video guide that shows how to find all 50. It's up to you. And there you have it, 8 more changes that the Link's Awakening remake introduces over the Game Boy original. So what do you think of these changes? Do you have a favorite, or is there anything you think was better on the Game Boy? Let us know by posting in the comments below. And with that, thanks for watching, and of course make sure to click the subscribe button and ring that bell for tons more on Link's Awakening and Nintendo Switch. We'll catch you later, bye.